All right, welcome to another episode of Lofty Learns. Tonight I'd call it a blast from the past. Macaulay's Macca, as I knew him in high school, and we realised the last time we'd seen each other would have been 2008. I saw him recently, or a few months ago now, on LinkedIn because he was killing it in his new job. And that's the reason I wanted to get him on, is to find out how he ended up doing and what exactly is an omni-channel specialist. So, Macca, tell us your role, where you're working, and what the job is.
Yeah. Um, so I work for LSKD. I am an omni-channel specialist. I've only been with the brand for 6 months. However, I I guess connected with the brand probably about 5 years ago, meeting Jason, the CEO of LSKD. And then I guess from that, I was just around the brand. I wore the clothes as it was. And then I connected with, I guess he was a friend through a friend. Weirdly enough, was a cousin, and there was a few loopholes. But we got there,
Yeah.
and his name's Keith, and he's the CEO, COO for LSKD. And mate, we just hit it off, and we literally would just catch up for beers. Previous to me joining, well, we still catch up for beers now, but previous to me joining LSKD, we'd just catch up and download on just work, life, and whatever else. And he said to me probably about maybe 2.5 years ago, he's like, look, we're literally the same person, and I'll go into this a little bit more, but he's like, we're literally the same person. I need you to come work for me because you're going to help me out a lot.
Yeah.
So, and that was 2 years in the making. That was literally just like conversations back and forth, and then I got a phone call. He's like, mate, I think I've got the job for you, omni-channel specialist. And I was like, oh yeah, what's that? He's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, so you
oh,
didn't know either. Okay.
no, no, not. I knew what omni-channel being multiple channel, and
Yeah.
you know, I was sort of like, okay, well, all right, well, time to shoot my shot, really. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And that was on a Tuesday. I met with them on a Friday, that Friday, and then the following Monday, sign contract, and away we go. So
Yeah.
I stayed persistent, and I always looked up to the brand, and what they were doing in that space, and I guess now that I'm a part of that, it's sort of, I guess, really like it's a dream come true. Like I aspired to be there, and that's where I wanted to be, and
Yeah.
I just kept going, and I just kept working, and that's where I found myself, finally. So yeah.
Yeah. And so
um,
you've only been there 6 months. I've seen,
mm,
how many stores have they opened over the last couple of years?
yeah.
Because that's what
So
every time I'm looking at the newsfeed, you're announcing and either announcing a new store or just opened one.
yeah, there's another one coming this week. So
Oh,
yeah,
gee.
we don't stop. So
Yeah.
I guess part of my role being this like omni-channel specialist, and I definitely do. Part of my role is there, but a major focus in my role now is project managing all our new store openings. Um, so that's everything from finding a site, leasing agreements, negotiations, working with our designers, our fit out team, um, you know, all the way through to turnkey open door launch day.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty exciting process because I see, from start to finish, from literally
Mm.
a shop, literally a vacant, stripped back shop in a shopping center get completely flipped and turned into, I guess one of our passion projects. And, like you said, we've got store number 8 coming, in
Yeah.
September 9th. We open at Carindale in Brisbane. Um, so yeah, that'll be number 8. We've done 3 already this year, 4, probably more, or something like that. Yeah, I can't even keep up, to be honest. We've got 2 more to do before the end of the
So
year.
it's where has that's a big, being in business with a few other businesses. Is it,
Mm.
has it been like it's just taken off like a rocket, or I'm pretty sure the brand itself's been around. Well, you said you'd known about it 5 years, so it's been around a while before. And what's caused this sudden? how many, like 5 stores
Yeah.
in a year? What's caused that decision to be made?
Yeah, so I guess, like I've only just joined, but like, we want to be the most influential brand in the world. That's, one of our goals is to be that. And that's not just based around product, that's based around, how we educate our community, how we interact with our community, and how we can make an impact outside of our product as well. We just the week just gone, we just released a documentary around men's mental health. So that
Yep.
had nothing to do with product. There was no, backdoor selling or anything like that. That was purely how do we make an impact on the community, and this was our calling card to do something, and something a few of us are, or most of us are quite passionate about. So
Yep.
it's that right with us to be able to voice that. But the we don't plan to open 1,000 stores or 100 stores or anything like that. Like, we've been quite strategic in where we open these stores, and they're not just like, oh, yep, let's just go throw one in, in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Like, we've backed it by data. We've looked at, do we already have quite a strong community there? And if that is the case, what are they spending? How much are they spending? Where are they coming from? All that sort of stuff. So, and then that
That's
goes for new
cool.
stores as well. One
Yep.
of the new programs that I implemented onto our site allows us to see where our community is searching from, what postcodes, and
Yep.
if they find a store, how far away they are, or if they don't find a store, where's their closest one, and if there is none, it's called like a failed search, so that they can't actually access a store from where they are. Obviously, we're online. We've got a massive presence, and 90% of our sales come through our online business. But we've sort of done it the other way. We were,
That's what I'm
an
thinking.
online business, and and gone into bricks and mortar. So
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Well, to be fair, Amazon's Bezos did the same thing. He killed it in
Mm,
books, and then he
yeah,
bought did he buy Whole Foods or something? And suddenly now
yeah,
Amazon's in brick and mortar. But
mm,
that's a cool. I reckon it's the way to go too, because like you said, you got that data, which means like no business is
mm,
a guaranteed success. But if you know your customer base is shopping in that postcode, you know exactly where they're going to be. Yeah, that's a pretty cool
mm,
way of
yeah,
setting up a business. And so it sounds like,
yeah.
because I just watched the new Nike movie a few weeks ago,
Oh yeah,
and to be honest, it
yeah,
sounds a lot like how the Nike brand got
yeah,
launched. Is that like
yeah.
the vibe and the yeah?
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
exactly it. We relate a lot of our stuff back, and we read, like, part of our onboarding process with LSKD. There's 5 books. I think there's probably more now that we recommend that you should listen to, because it's how the brand was developed, what our values are, our mission. Everything comes from those five or 6 books. Um, so yeah, it's Shoe Dog is one of them. Little back stretchy pants, which is about the Lululemon story. So we really do look back on, well, okay, well, if these guys did it, how can we either replicate it and do it better? You know what I mean? Like, and add
Yep.
our the LSKD, I guess, pizzazz to it, you could say.
Yep.
So yeah. Mm.
And how did it? Because it is a big, and it's, to be honest, a very difficult thing to grow, like a community that becomes passionate
Mm.
around what is essentially text or a picture on a shirt. Like, that's
Yeah. So
technically
I
what it
think.
is. But how's that come about?
So one of our biggest things that we do, I guess, to build community, to create it and to maintain it, is so we have fitness partnerships, which is with any sort of like gym or recovery center or run club, anything like that. So we bring those fitness, partners on board. They get access to, a pretty good, I guess, discount to be able to present their clubs with prizes and all that sort of stuff. And then on top of that, their community get a discount code to shop with us at a discounted rate as well. I think the last time I spoke with the guys in FP, we had like 2,500 plus fitness partners on board. And that's not just Australia and New Zealand. That's we've got a team in the US that do this as well. So the
Yeah.
guys in the US, there's only 4 of them over there, and they pump out like I think they do like 30 or probably like 30 to 40 events a week. I mean, not a week, a month.
Yeah.
Just any sort of
So
event, just like getting
nearly
out there,
one or two a day. Yeah.
being in the community, and just getting the brand out there, getting eyes on the brand, and whether or not that's not just selling product, that's just like just being there. You know what I mean? Like in 2 weeks time, we're going to City to Surf in Sydney, and we're not a sponsor, we're not affiliated with them or anything like that. We're just going to be present and for our brand to be seen.
Yeah.
So we're not going to sell product or anything like that. We're driving a van down. We're going to give out freebies and just be there and be present. So the more we can pop up in different places and be present in different communities, then that's more awareness for us as a brand. So,
Yeah.
and
That's
that's a
cool.
huge driving. It's a huge driver, and like the amount of events that we do, outside of that, attending events with pop up stores and all that sort of stuff. Like we're about to go to CrossFit Games in a couple of weeks, which is pretty epic. So we'll have a store at the CrossFit Games, which is huge. CrossFit's one of our is a huge pillar for us. So we're quite excited to see how far we can take that over there this year and really crack the US
Yeah.
market. So
Yeah. That must be a tantalizing cherry. So it's Australian based, and they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
starting to crack into the US market.
We've been
Yeah,
there
righto.
for a bit now. Been there for a bit. We had So the guys went over and did Waterpalooza, which is another CrossFit comp over there. And after that event, we saw really good traction pick up post Waterpalooza over in the US. And now we've got a retail store over there in San Diego, and that's where our US team work out of as well. So they sort of have a retail store out the front, and then out the back, they've got their office set up, and then they've got like a community space with like a rehab, a recovery center and stuff in there too. So it's just all
Yeah,
about
righto.
bringing as many people as we can. Like same with our HQ here. Our HQ has a gym on the rooftop every Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. There is a gym from our local community up there taking their session for the week. So we're constantly just trying to bring people in and expose them to the brand, and then also on the
Yeah.
flip side of that, getting out there and exposing people to the brand as well.
Yeah, that's relentless. And so,
Yeah.
because I was thinking that's kind of a guerrilla marketing technique to just, but it
Mm.
makes a lot of sense. Show up at like a major event where we televise. There'll be cameras everywhere, and obviously everyone taking Instagram photos, TikTok, whatever they're doing. So just having it
Yeah.
there. Have you thought of? And is that something you've done in the past? Like, how do you come up with obviously, realistically, lower cost, but potentially massive
Mm.
upside to get brand awareness? Like that's what every
Mm.
business owner and marketing person looks for. How
Yeah.
do you sit down every week, come up with strategies, or is it just come up with an idea? Yeah, stuff it. Let's run with it.
A bit of both.
Yeah,
One of our values is move fast and break shit. So that applies to some decisions within the brand. I wouldn't say it applies to the major decisions that we make.
yeah,
Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be where we are.
yeah,
But no, definitely. Like like I don't have a huge amount of involvement in terms of like the daily marketing and stuff like that goes along. But the team meet every morning for a 15 to 20-minute powwow and come out of that meeting with, anything that needs to be addressed immediately or anything going forward. Um, in terms of like a new store rollout, for a new store rollout for marketing, like it's, how many of our athletes can we get to that store? We've had our biggest line we had was, we had 512 people line up to get into our last opening. So
Yeah.
we just create hype around that, and once again, it's about opening the store in the right place with the right community. Um,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And we don't do a huge amount of promotion around that store opening. We build hype, and the hype is built with our Facebook ads, our Facebook group. We create like a Facebook attendee event. Then we have like our fitness partners.
Yeah.
They'll go out for two weeks leading up to the store opening, or even sooner. They'll go down and visit 15 to 20 gyms just in that local area pocket and be like, this is when our opening is. We'd love you to come down. Let's go. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we had people lining up at 3 a.m. They couldn't even get into the shopping center. They waited outside in the cold. It was like 4 degrees in Campbelltown. They waited outside in the cold for 2 hours before they got into the center. And then that was at 5 or 5:30 a.m. And then they got chairs and sat out the front of the store until we opened at 8:30 a.m.
And was there
And like
giving away a
we do
car, or like was anything,
no,
or it's
so
just yeah.
we do 300 tights and shorts. We give them away, but the idea is so we upcycle. So you bring in any pair of tights or shorts that you have, and we'll swap them over for a new pair. And then all those go to Apparel, who we partner with.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's obviously that. We do like golden ticket giveaways in the line with our goodie bags. Like we give out goodie bags, and if you find a golden ticket, it'll have a number of different prizes on there. And it also gets you to skip to the front of the line. So if you get
Like
that
a
one, yeah,
Willy
you're in
Wonka.
for a
Is that
treat.
Willy Wonka?
Yeah, literally.
I did that
Yeah,
campaign at the last thing I was running. I was doing the Willy Wonka,
yeah,
and everyone
yeah.
loves it. Like, I reckon no matter what the industry, golden ticket,
Oh,
it just
100%.
takes everyone back to a whimsical time in their
Yeah.
childhood. Yeah, that's cool.
So,
And so I
but yeah,
want to
it's great.
know, you're like through your 20s to get to where you are now, which, like you said, this is
Mm,
found the dream job. How did you,
mm.
was there like strategy in place that I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this? Or was it just each thing culminated on each other, which led to this job?
Yes. So I guess when I moved to Brisbane in 2013, end of 2013, 14, I did my PT course and I PT'd full time.
Yeah.
So I was doing that for 2.5 years, and then I got the opportunity I was like, okay, well, I've been doing this for I think 2.5 years or 2 years was like my point where I'm like, all right, fuck, I need to do something else now.
Next.
Like I
I
was
did the
kind of
same.
getting to
Yep.
the next thing.
Yep.
So yeah, 2.5 years flew by, and then I was like, all right, I just need to do something. I need to, go to the next level. So
Yep.
I got a job as a gym manager for an Anytime Fitness, and I did that once again for literally like 2.5 years. And I met during that time. During that time, I met the guys who I worked with. I stayed with them for almost 5.5 years. I met Giorgio and
Yep.
Aaron from from Fit as FK, or Fit as Fuck, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I joined them, and at the time they were opening a gym in Kangaroo Point in Brisbane, and they said, look, come on over. Um, we want you to help us, open up this gym. And the original intention was for me to be the gym manager there. And then we sort of got there, and the gym got open, and they had an online business as well. They have an e-com business, which is women's 8-week challenges and stuff. And it's all based on an app. You buy the equipment to do it all at home. And
Yep.
he's like, at the time they had a few different programs, and he's like, look, we need someone to come on board and do like it was like customer service. And it was literally just helping people, pretty much what I was doing as a PT, but just online. People would email in like, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And just coaching them pretty much.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and one thing led to another there. Like I went from customer service, and then I was working in sort of like more like logistics, and then I was doing supply chain stuff, and then I moved into like influencer marketing, and then I was, then I
You
moved
get a taste of it
into,
all, yeah.
yeah, like I just learned as I went. I learned from Giorgio and Aaron and other people around me. I just learned, and they taught me, what needed to be done. Eventually I went from being in that 5 years, I went from being a customer service, person through to the head of operations for the business.
Yeah,
And then I was, project managing people. I was doing HR. I was, parts of accounting. Um, you know, you name it. I was doing it for that brand, and
yeah,
I loved it. You know what I mean? I really did love it, and then I got to the point, and it was 5.5 years. I stayed there more than 2.5, so we did all right out of that one.
yeah,
And then I was like, what's next? And when this opportunity came up, those guys were, really supportive of my decision to leave, because they knew that that was going to come at some stage. I sort of, done
yeah,
everything I could possibly do with that brand, and it was like, okay, what do I do next? And this opportunity came up, and man, I felt sick. Like, I felt sick having to tell them that I was leaving. Like,
yeah,
they were like brothers to me. I spent
yeah.
almost 7 years of my life quite closely with them. And I remember um, the day I went to tell them, I like booked in a meeting with them both. And at the time, Aaron, well, he just still does, he was living in Byron, and I knew he was going to be back in the office on that day. I was like, book this meeting. I'm like, sweet. Anyway, they both messaged me and asked what it was about. I sort of just like swerved it, because I was like, I don't want to open this can of worms via text or anything.
Yeah.
And then that, and then that morning, Aaron's like, "Oh, sorry, man. Like, I'm not going to make it to Brisbane today." I was like, "All right, we'll just catch up via Zoom. Just join the link." Anyway, he declined the meeting, like fully declined the meeting. I was like,
Oh, really?
"Oh, yeah," and like, because he actually wasn't. He was I don't think he was well or something. Like, usually he would come back to Brizzy every week, and I was like, "Fuck, like, this is
Yeah.
killing me now." And
You're living with it, yeah.
and then I was like, "Yeah, I'm living with it. This is all day." And then it got to the time of the meeting. 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes by, and anyone who knows Giorgio, he's always late to every single meeting. And I walk into the other room. He's just sitting there, like, having a chat. And I'm like, "Bro, can we do this movie?" He's like, "Yeah, what's it about?" I was like, "Oh, just come in." And fair enough, I sat down. I was like, "Man, I feel really sick, hey." And he's like, "Why? What's wrong?" And I was like, "Oh," I'm leaving. And he's like, "Oh," just went limp. He's like, but yeah, no, it was, and I did the right thing. I stayed there. I let them know, January being, that new year, new me sort of thing. It was a
Yeah.
massive,
Good
massive
time, yeah.
time for that brand. So I let them know in December, and I worked all the way through to end of January to get through that period. So, like, I had much respect for them, and they, it goes both ways. So,
Yeah,
and then I
yeah.
ended up at LSKD. So here I am today.
Yeah. And so will
There's a,
the in your I mean, no one can tell the future, but
mm,
do you think the 2.5 year thing, like, I'm through it. I did the same thing, and I
mm,
realized the only time I lasted longer was when I had my own thing going
yeah,
until late 20s. And, like, I don't know. Are you married, kids, or anything?
no, no,
No. See, I had kids young, so I kind of had to go. I can't just keep skipping things. But yeah, do you think
yeah,
the, and I don't know if it's like our generation thing. Like, we go, if you're
yeah,
ready for the next, there's no point sticking around somewhere for 40 years. Like, well,
mm,
yeah, a lot of the boomers and stuff did. But do you reckon this one
yeah,
is like long term? You want to stick around and watch it become a massive brand around the
yeah,
world? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And I think when I was like, when I reached that point, when I was at FitAs and I was sort of like looking around at other things, I was like, I didn't want to move to Sydney or Melbourne to be able to, go and join brands down there. I didn't want to have to move away from my friends and family and stuff here. Um, so, there's only a few brands that I could sort of really work and strive to push to get to, you know what I mean? And to join.
Yeah.
And LSKD, just aligned. And it also I didn't want to just go and work for like, I don't know, like, an ecom business selling, I don't know, tools or something. Like,
Yeah.
it had to be something that I was invested in and aligned with me. And man, I think LSKD aligns in so many different ways, not even just through who I am as a person or what, what I want to do with my career, but like, you know, for example, like our running program and stuff like that, like, I'm a king runner. I get to be a part of that as well, so there's so many different aspects
Yeah.
of the brand that I'm excited to see where they go over the next, even over the next 2.5 years. I think there's so much growth that's going to happen in this next 2 to 3 years for the brand. Not
Mm.
just opening retail stores, but cracking that US market and really making a footprint over there. Like that'll just open things up enormously. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's super exciting. And so the funnily enough, I was talking to, do you know the Trade Mart shirts? I'm assuming you would have seen
yeah,
traders wear
yeah,
them. They're those bright coloured mental health. I got
yeah,
big into them when I was in the wholesaling. I was actually talking to
yeah.
the missus tonight about, because now I'm in law, we're looking at, I want to convert ties into the Trade Mart colours for the
Okay,
same reason.
yeah,
Like, because the
yeah,
men's
yeah.
mental health thing, obviously that's something you're big into.
Mm.
Like, what was that? I haven't seen it. The documentary and stuff. Like,
Mm.
what are you guys doing in that space?
Yeah, so Elliot and Kirby put together, who are our content, our leads in our content team. They sat down in quite a, I guess, intimate setting with four of our athletes from LSKD and dived into, I guess, their background in sport and, coming through the ranks. One of them is, a mate of mine, Jordan Carr, who played for the Broncos. Just hearing his story and, you know, with the struggles that, as I guess people sort of look at these people and think like, you know, they're the pinnacle of their career, being a top tier athlete, but what happens after or even during, but like what I saw from our documentary, like what happens after that, and it is quite hard. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just dived into, what it's like being an athlete and, the struggles that they do face and, being as a kid, like another one of the guys, Carl Porter, like you wouldn't even pick it. The guy he's a good looking dude. He's fit as a fiddle, great rig on him. But, all through school and his younger life, he struggled with like, an eating disorder and, body dysmorphia and like all that sort of stuff. So, it dives into a few different aspects, but, once again, that documentary, Don't Wait, is obviously, around, don't wait to speak up,
Yep.
be heard and, speak up when, things are hard. So, that was, and that's only one thing that we've done now. Like we don't want to stop there. Like we want to, make a really big impact in other ways in our community, and not just by selling the best women's leggings in the world. We want to be the most influential brand in the world in so many
Yep.
different aspects. So yeah.
And keep growing that community. Yeah, that's very cool.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it's
last
amazing.
thing
Like
I,
even just like the people that reached out to us like after that, like people who were within our community and stuff like that just reached out and said like, just thank you, thank you for bringing that to light
yep.
and shining a light on men's mental health. And these people opened up to us. We've never met them before. We're talking to them via either
Mm,
Instagram message or Facebook Messenger or something like that. So, or just an email into our customers, our community experience team. Like it's crazy. It's crazy, and
yeah,
all
cool.
we, the only thing we wanted to do is like if we can make an impact on one person's life, then our job's done. You know,
Yep.
so
Yeah, it's worth
and
making
that, and that's
making
how
that
we look at it.
content. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. The last question I had for you, I mean, I had a few more I could go into, but for tonight, I'll leave it at this. Does the letters, is it an acronym? Is there any meaning behind the L, the S, the K, the D?
Yeah, so it actually stands for Loose Kid. Loose Kid
Yeah, righto.
Industries is, yeah, so that's what it was back in 2002. Better get the
Yep.
numbers right, so otherwise Jace will be up me. So yeah, 2002 brand kicked off and was literally just like printed tees, hats. He was right into the motocross scene. I actually had, remember the Hilux Ute that I had in high school? Remember the Hilux Ute I had? It actually
Yeah.
had a Loose Kid Industries sticker
Ah.
across the front.
And did
Full
you?
circle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, did you know
I
that
didn't know. I
throughout
didn't know
your?
him. No,
Oh wow, that's cool.
no, yeah.
So it was the
So
brand perfectly for you, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
No,
yeah,
sweet.
it's
And
interesting. But yeah,
how do people get in touch, learn more, join the community?
oh mate, we've got an events page on the website where we literally throw down any and every event that we're attending, whether it's not just in Brizzy, but anywhere in Sydney, Melbourne, and stuff. At the moment, we're popping up. Other than that, like we come and visit us if you're in Brisbane and you want to see what LSKD is all about and what we do. We take tours through our whole warehouse, our office, upstairs in the gym, and show people around on the daily. So if you want to check it out and see what it's all about, then yeah, come in and literally just walk in. We've got a retail store at a HQ, but yeah, come
Yeah.
walk in and ask for Macca, and we'll take you for a tour.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, just like it's not even about buying the product. Like obviously buying the product, turns the lights on and keeps the lights on and keeps the engine turning. But like at the end of the day, if we don't build a community, create a community, and keep it maintained, then that won't happen. So, we're big on just people coming and being a part of. Even if people can't afford to buy the product, come and be in a part of an event. And see what it's all about.
I'm assuming, and I'll leave it on this, but I don't know if Simon Sinek's book is part of the reading list, but his big thing, his original big book was people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do
Mm,
it. And that's
yeah.
how you build businesses come and go. But to build a brand that people want to stick with, yeah, it's the
Mm,
underlying why you do it. And it just
yeah.
happens to be we sell clothing. That's what allows us to do
Mm,
why we do what we do. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
yeah.